Hey, welcome to Truthfully Speaking with Dr. Nay podcast, brought to you by CKJ Live, inspiring everyday people, enlightening them with life-changing information, and empowering them to live in truth. In the words of Nova Bordelon from the popular TV show Queen Sugar, speaking truths start conversations. Well, let's get ready to have some necessary conversations to create some necessary life changes. Join me in Truthfully Speaking. Good morning, good Saturday morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Truthfully Speaking with Dr. Nay. I am your host, your homegirl, Dr. Nay, and I just want to welcome you. I know this is a different time of day for our show. We're doing an early Saturday morning, but I wanted to spend some time with my sister friends, my guests this morning, so we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. If this is your first time to our show, welcome. I am super excited that you've chosen to join us. Be sure that you like and subscribe to any of our channels and platforms that we're on. You'll see those across the banners momentarily. But if this is your first time to our show, just to give you a little bit background about our show, Truthfully Speaking with Dr. Nay is simply just a show is for everyday people. We want to inspire, encourage, and empower the everyday person using the everyday person's story and testimony. So if you don't know anything about me, I wrote a book called Truthfully Speaking, hoping to inspire other people. And this show is simply just that. It's an opportunity to speak truths that will really, really spark conversations in our everyday lives and hopefully encourage and empower us to make some life-changing adjustments. So without further ado, I just want to make sure that I give you guys a little bit background about today's topic. Today's topic is episode 8 of our show. Woo-woo, in March, it'll be 1 year. I can't believe it. But today's topic is holding space, remaining safe in my sister's arms. And it's inspired by some beautiful women that I've been blessed to share space with and mentor with over the last 15 years. And so holding space, for those that don't know, holding space means being physically, mentally, and emotionally present for someone else. It means putting your focus on someone else to support them as they feel their feelings. An important aspect of holding space is managing judgment while you are present. So without further ado, I am going to bring on our guest. So again, you heard me say that I mentor people. You know, I've been mentoring young women and girls for the past 15 years. And if you know anything about me, then you know the word Simsa, safe in my sister's arms. And so these are my Simsa sisters, my Makungas, my midwives, my, mentoring comrades. So we'll talk a little bit more about some of this terminology and what that means for us. And so without further ado, I'm going to bring on the Arms of Simsa. These are some of the women that have been there over the last 15 years, and we continue to do this work. And we'll talk about our love for the work and why it's so important to us and why we got involved in Simsa to begin with and why we stay involved. And so without further ado, I'm going to bring on my guests, the Makungas. And as I get everyone on screen, I'm going to allow them to just briefly introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about themselves. So if you, Shamaya, adjust your camera a little bit so we can see Mom. There we go. So I guess I can start with you two ladies, and then we'll work our way around. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
She's got her background. So who wants to go first? Tell me a little bit about yourself, what you do on a day-to-day basis, and why you got involved with Simsa.
Hi, my name is Shamaya Curry. I am. I started off as a Simsa. We call it homegrown in the nation. So I started Simsa when I was 13 years old, and I aged out of the program at 18, and then I became a Mashenga, which is, if we were to translate it to everyday terms, y'all, I guess it would be like a junior recreational leader. Mm-hmm. And then I became a Makunga, which is like a full-blown recreational leader.
Okay.
So I keep coming back to Simsa because it is a unique space. Black women get to gather together, learn things, share our stories, and I think the more I am baptized into the world. I appreciate Simsa because it is truly a gem. So that's who I am and why I'm here.
Awesome.
Good morning. My name is, in the village, I go by Makunga Shani. Makunga means midwife, and my role is to serve as co-director. And I've served in that role since SIMSA's inception. And I think the other question is like, so why do I keep coming back? I love what we have been able to birth, what we've been able to create. I think it is so unique and so special and one of a kind. I love mentoring young girls. I love children. And I'm passionate about making sure that we create a sacred space for the next generation of young women and leaders.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you. And so I want to do something really quick. Thank you, Shani and Makunga Shani and Makunga Shamaya. So I was supposed to do something because you ladies or whoever's listening in, you're going to find that we have our own language in Simsa land. So I wanted to talk about some of the terminology that you'll hear this morning. So you've heard the word Makunga. And Makunga is simply a Swahili word, which means midwife. It means, she who helps to birth out the gifts of other individuals. So we refer to ourselves as midwives. You'll hear the word mashanga. Mashanga is kind of like Shamaya mentioned, like that recreational camp, that junior camp leader, that advocate for our young girls. They're like that middle person between our Simsas, our mentees, and us as the Makungas or the elders. We have elders in our village. Those are the people that we go to for wisdom. And then we have our Simsas. Those are our babies, our mentees. You hear the word ashe. Ashe is an affirmation word. It simply means amen, right on. That's your form of agreement. You are affirming what the person says. And so you'll hear that terminology this morning because for the last 15 years, we've been flowing back and forth. That's our love language. So you'll hear that this morning. So I just wanted to clarify that. And so next we'll go on to Makunga Celestine. Hey.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, Makunga Celestine. I've been with the organization since the inception. My role has always been Makunga, and the reason I continue to come back is, it's my passion to be light and positive influence for others, and I hope that I've served that role, and so that's why I continue to come back. I think. Was there another question about what we do, or was it within
Yeah,
the
you can
organization?
feel free to share like what you do on an everyday basis. What do you do professionally?
Okay. So on an everyday basis, I'll just sum it up to say, my profession is accounting. And so I've been doing that for over 25 years and really just working to, it's more so in the area of compliance.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. And I don't know, Makunga Shani and Shamai, did you all get to share what you do on an everyday basis?
No, I currently serve as an assistant principal for Chicago Public Schools.
Awesome.
And I'm a full-time student.
Uh-huh. Bless your heart. Thank you. Makunga Lolita, we're just sharing, who we are, introducing yourself and what you do. Oh, you muted yourself.
I'm sorry, I had myself muted.
That's okay.
Am I muted now?
Nope, you're good. We hear you.
Okay. Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Good
My name is Lolita, Makunga Lolita. I have been with SIMSA since about 2 years after its inception. I have been in the world of rescue, release, and restore since 1997, I want to say.
Oh, wow.
Because my son was a part of the Simba. He was a Simba.
Okay.
And we were, my daughter and I were so encouraged by the impact that it had on him, and she was always wondering when there was going to be a Simsa organization started, and it started, after she was too old to go. But I just love the concepts and the mission of SIMSA, and I am an advocate for children. I have been working with preschool children for over 20 years. And so I love children, and I wanted to be able to give whatever I could positively to other young ladies.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
So that's why
Thank
I keep
you.
coming back.
Awesome. Thank you. Makunga Angel.
Hello, greetings everyone. My name is Makunga Monlade Angel. I have had love as a mom initially with my daughters attending SIMSA since my oldest daughter since inception, which was 2007, correct?
Yes.
So she's been a SIMSA. My youngest daughter started SIMSA, so they've been SIMSAs. They are grown now. I joined just by inspiration, watching my sister go and them coming back and being motivated and singing the chants. And I'm like, okay, what is this all about? So I joined in 2011, 12 as a Mashanga initially, and then I advanced to a Makunga. And I enjoyed and have been enjoying this ride of love and labor since this time. I am a registered nurse. I do specialize in women's care and in young women's care as well too. I love every part of it. And what SIMSA has done was help me advance in myself in sisterhood, in my community, my family. So I'm so grateful for being a part of this love union.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And lastly, the lovely Makunga Nakia.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Makunga Nakia. I became a Makunga, I would say, the second year that Simsa was born, from another Makunga who was a mentor for me. And she introduced me to the nation through my son. He was a Simba as well. But I just kind of fell in love with the environment, the people, the mission, the too black, too strong. Just, that really resonated with me. As in general, but SIMSA was a different space where I was able, like many of you have already shared, able to share with like-minded women. And that's been the most impactful part for me. I work with children. I'm an artist, a teaching artist. So I've been teaching, working with children doing art for many years. So at SIMSA, I'm able to do that. And like I said, the environment, it gives me a sense of purpose, a strong sense of purpose. So everything about it. So
Good. Well, thank you, ladies. Thank you all for sharing. And I guess I should tell myself, I've been involved with SIMS again also since its inception in 2007. And being together with these lovely women here, and we've been doing this work. The reason I love it, continue to do it. Like many of them, it's the mission, it's, why it was founded, how it was founded. We were founded on the shoulders and the backs of our brothers from our Simba program, Safe in My Brother's Arms. And so having that example and having an opportunity to explore their camp, explore what it is that they do with young men and the way they transform lives by creating a safe space for these young men. It was like, where the girls program at? I was kind of like Makunga Lolita's daughter. Where's the girls program at? And so really excited to have been able to be a part of starting that and continue to come back. Many of us are mothers, whether we're mothers of girls or boys, we're passionate moms of African-American children. And so we're passionate about their future, and we understand that their future, they are our future. And so, it was up to us to create that space for what we didn't have growing up. And I think many of us would agree that we didn't have those spaces, those camps, those mentoring programs that we got to go to every month. And so we wanted to be what we needed and what we expected. And I think that's probably a good root of what it is that we've done. We've created a space of what we wish we had growing up. So every day I work in higher education, run pre-college programs. Y'all know that stuff already. So we're going to move on. So thank you, ladies, for sharing, each of you. So my question for you, so we've talked a little bit about why SIMSA, gave a little bit, history about SIMSA. SIMSA and Simba both are part of a nonprofit organization called Rescue, Release, and Restore. And Rescue, Release, and Restore has 3 camp programs, Simba, SIMSA, and Milo, which means Multicultural Youth Leadership Academy. And so those 3 programs combined kind of create these safe spaces for our young people. But specifically for SIMSA, it's been 15 years for us, and we've had some learning curves. We've had some highs and some lows and all of those things. And so we tend to, kind of find ourselves as women working very close knit over the past 15 years. So for those that don't know, SIMSA started as a camping program where we would take these young people away into rural camp settings for at least anywhere from 5 to 8 days. And, people would trust us, people that we've never met before would trust us with their children based upon word of mouth. And so I think today's focus is really to be word of mouth for SIMSA so people continue to understand what it is that we do and why it's important. But what are some of the key, what are some things that you all have learned about yourself over the last 15 years as experiencing not only your children, but other people's children? What are some things that you learned about yourself in terms of when you started SIMSA, you came in with these great intentions of just I'm just going to help the children. I want to help the children. And so over the last 15 years, what would you say would be your biggest takeaway that you've learned about yourself? Anybody can feel free to start.
Well, I'm going to jump in real quick just because the term popped into my brain, Coochie Chagalia,
Okay.
self-determination. Because you mentioned that, we create our space. We created the space that we wanted to have for ourselves. And for me, doing art at camp required a lot of work and a lot of preparation for a lot of children. And just in general, it's work, it's labor of love, but it's labor. And so I've learned that I can be pretty self-determined.
Ashe, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Anybody else?
Well, I could just say right quick for me, personally, I was a mom who came in there inspired by the program. And once I joined, I was like, how Nishan said, I'm here to help the children, the youth. But when I came, I was kind of like in not like a shock, but like, whoa, this is more than helping the children. This is not only helping these youth become the women and the young girls and what they have to deal with on a daily, and helping to prepare them on a emotional, spiritual, physical, and all levels that they have to prepare themselves in this world. It helped me to prepare myself because as an adult, I didn't have that available. We don't have that available, or we didn't have that available for me when I was a youth. So it came, it brought me in terms of my truth as a woman, and it helped me to become stronger in my daily journey, spiritually, emotionally, physically, as a woman. So not only was I pouring love on the youth and my sisters, I was pouring more love into myself. So that was a grateful experience and still is.
Ashe, thank you. Anyone else?
I want to say that I learned that I am more. Oh, okay. I wanted to say that I learned that I'm a little braver than I thought I was.
Yeah.
Because going out into the woods and being out there, I don't like bugs. But and I'm afraid of spiders and all of that. But when we're out there with the girls, my job is not to show fear. My job is to encourage the girls because they're afraid as well. And my job is to encourage them to embrace their environment. And in that, I've learned to embrace my environment as well.
Ashe, thank you, Makongolo leader.
My initial thought to your question, Mukungane, was the children will teach you. So I feel like 15 years of kind of like being in this process, I feel like the children have taught us. They've taught us how to hold the space sacred. They've taught us how to trust. They've taught us the importance of being vulnerable. And so I think they've modeled for us better than we could have ever modeled for them what it means really to be in this kind of sacred sisterly space, and to literally seriously, like for real, feel safe in your sister's arms. And so, yeah.
Ashe, thank you.
Ashe.
Maya,
did you have anything you want to say?
I was thinking of an answer. I don't have I'm still piecing my thoughts together, so I don't think so. maybe that sisterhood is important. Like I know it was important as a Simsa, but yeah, the oldest group is getting older, so that's what I'm gonna say. I started when I was 13. Yeah, I started when I was 13. Yeah, 13 going on 30. Okay. Yeah.
Hey, you're aging gracefully.
So I appreciate that no matter what, there was a Simsa who went through the same things I went through during that season of my life. And that no matter what, that person pretty much knows how to hold space for me. And so we know who that person is for me. The Simsa who crossed over at the same time, but I just appreciate that there's always somebody who I don't have to explain certain things to, right? You just get it. And so I'm thankful for that. That's what Simsa taught me.
Good. Thank you for sharing. Awesome.
I just really want to underscore what Makunga Shani said and how the children have really taught us.
Yes.
Really.
I say they've definitely taught us.
Everything we do is for them, and they teach us how to do it.
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely feel like they definitely teach us. And I think Shamaya is a great example of that because she was a Simsa, so she has that experience. Like there's times we will pull young ladies aside at camp, young Simsas, like, so what y'all think about this? Like, how do you guys feel? What would you, and because they're going through that experience. So we're not afraid to take guidance from them and take, use the examples that they share for us. And so I think that's really important. I definitely agree that they teach us, not even just by, us being able to pull them aside or them having gone through the process and now being a part of this adult leadership part, but just by their example, the way they show love for one another, the way they hold space for one another, the way that they're consistently there for one another. So I think Simsa is very unique from any other mentoring program. So I would love to hear from you young ladies. What do you feel like? Why is Simsa not just like your everyday mentoring program, right? There's so many girls mentoring programs out here, but what makes Simsa so special and so unique?
I'm going to say the people. Once again, I would say, especially for Simsa, the Makungas. It's the people. And anywhere you go in any space, it's going to be the people that make it what it is. And as it evolve, it'll change. But thankfully, we do have some Makungas who have been Simsas. We have created this space where we know where to go to get our wisdom or whatever. So, I don't know. The people. Final answer.
Anybody else? Anything else? I see Makunga Heather chimed in the chat. Good morning, Makunga Heather.
I think that one of the things that make us unique is because we are training young women how to use conflict resolution, and those young women use that in their everyday life, and then they are allowed to be able to become leaders in our organization. I think that's one of the things that kind of make us unique, so that they can bring along the younger women, because sometimes we are not able to necessarily be able to engage in a effective way with the younger one, but the younger ones that's coming up and becoming leaders have that ability.
Ashe, thank you. Anybody else? Celeste?
Yes, I'll only add that I think also what makes us unique is not only do we, work with the young ladies to help them to recognize their gifts, but also recognize each other and build on even just everyday life skills. We're having conversations as if we're, there might be some things that, conversations we didn't have perhaps with our mothers or aunties or something, that we provide an environment that they can do that, as well as on a broader span, talk about their life goals and what they'd like to do. So I think that makes it unique.
Awesome.
I want to say ditto to
Oh.
everything that has been said. I think that is, I've tried over the years, and this probably shouldn't be as difficult for me because of the role that I serve in, but I've also over the years said, what is our secret sauce? What makes us so, you know? And I think people looking from the outside in have tried to figure out what is that secret sauce that makes Simsa and Simba so unique. I think part of it is that we really do embody and bring into a space. We, first of all, we have a great model in Simba, right? So we did not just like conceive of all of this, like out of, it wasn't just downloaded. We had a great model to look at. But the other thing that I think that makes us so unique is when we come into a space, we really do embody, believe that we're bringing into that space our culture, our ancestry. Like we're bringing the spirit of our elders and our ancestors into that space. And so we walk in that and we talk in that and we are participatory in that process, right? I think also what makes us unique, going back to Makunga Lolita's and Makunga Celestine's point, is there's really nothing that's off limits in terms of how topics. We have the mix of culture and heritage, and also our faith practices, and also our uniqueness as women, and what that means to be a woman, and what that rite of passage looks like for our girls, right? So I think we bring so much to the table for girls that I think there's something there for everybody.
True.
Like at this table, there is a feast, but there's something there for everybody to eat and to feed on. And they learn how to share that food with each other. And that is just, that's unique. We hear our girls talk, other young ladies talk about what Simsa has done for them. And these are young girls, these are women now. They're 20, 30, talking about the impact that an organization had on them when they were 13, 14, 15, and so on. Some of them younger than that. We have taken some children at 8 and 7. But anyhow, the impact that we have had on their lives, I think, speaks volumes to who we are and what we provide at that table.
Ashe. Well stated.
Ashe.
Were you gonna say something, Shamaya?
Oh no, just Ashe. Mom didn't say it's the anointing. No, let me say
Hallelujah.
it's the oil. Drip it on the camp. That's why
It's the oil.
It's the oil. It's the oil dripping off the camp. That's why you can mimic Simpson. No,
Come on, listen. Let me say something about that real quick. Our very first camp,
you used to fast though.
Makunga Tanya. It was me, Makunga Tanya, Tamora. We went up the night before the bus was supposed to come. Now this was our first camp. We didn't know what we were doing. And Venus, I think Venus went up there. And we go up there. We're gonna wipe down the beds at camp. We want to make it all pretty and presentable. Put signs on the doors for the girls. When that bus pulled up, we looked at each other and said, what we going to do with these girls? That bus had 26 girls on it. We had no clue what we were doing. And now we're serving anywhere from 50 to 60 girls every year at camp. So, man, this has been amazing. So let's talk about Simsa. Like we've talked about Simsa, what it is, right? But what is a Simsa? Like, where do these girls come from? How many girls is it? Like, where are we getting these kids from? Why are people trusting us with their kids? 50 and 60 girls. We done went from 26 girls in 2007 to now 50 and 60 girls that are coming from where?
So I think one of the things we mentioned is that we are participatory in our mission and things that we do. So many of us are parents. So many of us had our own children, and I think that served as an example for other parents or people like, oh, they trusted their own kids in that. So that kind of opened the door. So that's one.
Sure.
Sorry, I think we're also part of different circles, right? Right. So Makunga Angel has a circle, and Makunga Celestine, and Makunga Lolita, and Makunga Nation. Everybody has a circle, and I think within that circle, you have an influence And that leads to your nieces and your nephews. Well, your nephews for some, but leads to nieces, and it leads to your best friend's daughters, and it leads to students. And so I think that's also one of the ways we've been able to attract and pull young girls in. I also want to mention, like, it's not just us. We're not just a local organization,
Yeah.
but we are a national organization because we have different chapters in different states. So we're in Indianapolis, we're in Chicago, we're in DeKalb, we're in Rockford, we're in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
So we're spanned across the Midwest, and because of those connections, that also helps to bring in girls, because we've had camps with girls, but we've had like 70 kids, and we were like, woo, okay. 70 girls of all ages. Okay. So like, yeah, we've been able to tap into something that's really, really unique, and that continues to be a pipeline, serve as a pipeline for our organization.
And also, I wanted to mention that Simsas bring Simsas as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it may be some they may be exposed to this organization in some kind of way, but the Simsas have brought them over to convince them, come on to the camp, So
They're our biggest recruiters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
To answer that last question,
Mhm.
Makunga Heather added, what we bring, some of our special sauces: preparation, process, family, and transformation. Ashe. I think those are some things that make us unique. So, okay, so we have this village model. So I think something, else too, we're getting them again, they're students. The Simpsons are our biggest recruiters. And so these girls are coming and they return. So they don't just show up one year, but they come back from year. I don't know why. No, but every year they come back, and many of them, sometimes grandmothers are putting them in it, or moms or aunties or people that, so sometimes when they come, they don't want to be there. Sometimes they come, they don't know anybody else there. Other churches have sent kids, but sometimes they don't know anybody there. They don't want to be there. So day one looks very different for them than day 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8. And so, but over that process, over that 7-8 day process, they become acclimated to what it is that we are creating, this safe space, because, you can't use your phone, you can't watch TV, none of that stuff. And so for these young women to trust us with this space that we've created for them, I think that speaks value, and for them to walk away wanting more. And I think one of the biggest things we do is we really try to equip these young women to be able to take the principles and the tools that they're being taught during camp, be able to take that back into their personal villages, whether it's home, school, their friend circles, and being able to use that and implement that to make it a part of their everyday life. So it ain't just something that you're dealing with over 8 days. It's not something that you learn, you practice, right? But you want to be able to use that in your everyday life and make it a part of your life. So and Makunga Shani says all the time, we're more alike than we're different. And so you guys, if you saw episode 7 a couple weeks ago, that young lady was a Simsa. And so for her to come there and find safe space and find out that she's more like, there are other girls that are like her than, what she thought, to be able to say, oh, I'm not the only young lady that struggles with weight, or I'm not the only young lady that struggles with, body image or self-esteem, and find that a lot of other girls, have some of those same challenges and struggles. I think us creating that space where not only do they realize that, but how do I process that? How do I walk in that? And what do I do about that? How do I not allow myself to be overcome by that? I think that's really huge. So again, we have this village model, whereas it's this tiered layer, right? And as we've talked about, like, we didn't just morph this out of thin air. We've had a model from the Simba program that was in existence years before. I think they were in existence like 13 years before we started Simsa. So for them to have that model for us to have that model that had been in existence since 1993, then take it in 2007 and create this village, mentality. Whereas we have our elders that we go to for wisdom. We have us as the Makungas. We have our Mashangas. We've learned some lessons. And so we've had to tweak how we do things over the years. We've had to implement some layers to make it a little more of a safe space. But what is it that, what's unique about the village? We know in the Black community, the village is like, man, you got your aunties, your uncles, and everybody gets to speak life into you. Everybody gets to chastise you. Everybody gets to check you. What is it unique about our village? Like, why is it so important that outside of our nuclear family, our children have this village mentality?
I feel like personally, just coming from experience and from what I've witnessed, it's important when you're joining an organization that it touches the root of you, the truth of you, of who you are as a Black person living in this world. So it gets us back in touch, and it teaches you, Simba, how to get back to the root of who you are, how to start with libation every day. And that's
Mhm.
what Simsa has taught me, to
Mhm.
start with libation by blessing God, by giving blessings to your ancestors, by giving blessings to all of what this world has to offer, and ending it with God. It teaches you your Afrocentric self. It teaches you about the Ma'at, harmony, justice, order, morality, balance. And when we pour all of that, and it's poured into these girls to give them the root of who they are. It teaches you about Kwanzaa, of all the principles are involved in Kwanzaa. So mainly it teaches you to pray together, to pray for yourself, to chant in song, to play your drums, to dance in love. It gives you the root of who you are as a Black person living in America. So that's the main thing of what I receive and what a lot of young girls receive from this program.
Ashe.
So,
Ashe.
yeah.
Thank you, Makonga Angel.
Mhm.
All right. Anybody else gonna say something? I see lips moving, so I can't tell if y'all trying to talk or not. Makonga Angel, she dropped that mic, didn't she?
Right.
All I can say is Ashe.
I say, right.
I say.
Ashe. So what are some misconceptions, like, because I wanted you all to share what you do professionally, because I wanted people to know that not all of us work with children on an everyday basis. Like Makunga Celestine works in, finance, accounting, we all have different backgrounds and experiences. So what is it? So coming into it, again, we probably came in with some biases or some assumptions, thinking we knew certain things about what it takes to mentor a kid. But what are some things that you learned as a result of that? Like, oh, it's not just going to be patting them on the back and say, go play, What are some things that you learned about working with these young women over the years?
I was baptized at Simsa. So I working with children. Yes, I am a mommy. I have 2 kids. Being a mommy is very different than working with children who you didn't birth, right?
Mhm.
And so, what I will say though is, I just had to, remember why I'm there, right? And know that, I'm a person that believes that, you know, and I think that holds true in Simsa and how we operate. Everyone has a story in the background, and you just have to respect their space. Not everybody thinks the same, and that's how I operate. And that helped me to work with children. I do know that we do have, teachers in the room or others who work with children on a daily basis. For me, it was an adjustment. I'm in a profession that's filled with introverts, okay, including myself. And so it was a very different environment for me. But, as has been described in this call today, it felt like home. I was amongst, adults and women who embraced the environment and was welcoming because, as you said earlier, Makunga Nation, we're more alike than we are different. And so even though we may have had different paths and professions or experiences before we came in and working with youth, we all just sort of get in where we fit in and, do what we can to continue to create the environments that we do. So it was different for me, but I felt at home and did what I can to contribute.
Ashe. Makunga Heather dropped in the chat and says, every child has different needs and finding that and engaging them properly. So that was an adjustment for her. Ashe. Anybody else? What are some things that you learned?
You going? Okay. Freaking frat over here.
All right.
So I would say when I came in, I think I may have been a classroom teacher when I came in. So I was accustomed to managing, 20 so kids at a time. But when you get into that setting, and let's be clear with our audience and with ourselves, we are in rural territory. We are far out in the woods where it would take people some time to find us, right?
And it has taken people.
And so, but managing 50, 60, 70 kids in a rural setting is a bit, it comes with its challenges. And so I think that for me, that was a new learning for me to go from managing a small group to a very large group. But I'm just thankful to God that we had a lot of great women serving in roles of Makungas who could also help to take charge and lead in that management and maintain the order that was necessary for managing such a large group of different personalities in a rural setting.
Yeah.
Right. Very well said.
Yeah.
I think for the younger people who are going through the Mashenga process or Makunga process, for me, my learning curve was kids use the bathroom in the bed, and you gotta take them to the bathroom. So I was like,
night.
yeah, I was like, yeah. So there's some preventative work that takes place at Simsa when we work with children. If you work with younger children, so I learned a lot about little kids, like 7, 8-year-olds. The pulling on a shirt and all of those things. So that's what I learned.
That's a great point. I think Maya brings up a great point that you wear various hats in Simsa land, right? You are the caretaker. You are you facilitate the laundry. You facilitate the bed order. You facilitate a lot of different things. Sometimes you have to be the drill sergeant. You wear many, many hats in Simsa land.
Yeah. Ashe. Anybody else?
I was gonna throw in that that's a sign of a good Makunga that you've had throughout the years, Shemaya, that you never knew about all the different things that taking care of little kids had to deal with until you became a Makunga. So if you had known that people be peeing in the bed, that's not.
Oh yeah, I never would have signed up. I was like, yeah, and I'm not washing no clothes.
All the behind the scenes work.
But now I'm here, and my Makunga, we were going through the process. My Makunga trained me well, so we had arts and crafts, and she kind of walked me through with that, gradual release process that we do at camp. This is how you take care of lower kids, and it was what she liked to do, so it made it a little bit easier too. I think when our Makungas are working with an age group that they really mesh well with. And to spur back to one of your last questions about what makes us unique, I'm thinking too that, especially in the midst of what year are we in? 2021.
Yeah.
That we're unique because we combine God, our ancestry, and womanhood, like that's a 3-piece sauce. And going to an all women's college, I think too, our experience mirrors that, but we also have more process in place for people when they're unpacking things. And that feels different for me, right? I can move through both spaces, but I know in Simsa, there's going to be some process to help me unpack or to explain or digest what I'm going through. And so I think that's what makes us unique. And that's why you should send your kids to camp, because in 2022, 2023, you want them to be confident in their Blackness. You want them to know the Lord, and you want them to know about journeying through girlhood and womanhood. So that's our commercial break.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely. Ashe. I think too, for me, some of the assumptions that I came into camp with was, assuming that we were going to get, bad kids or girls that was just really struggling and really, really needed some support and some help, and, or that, and not necessarily just my assumptions, but assumptions that I've heard from other people over the years about who it is that we work with, assuming that, oh, you're getting kids from a single parent home, they must be really broken and need all this love, or you're getting kids from a 2-parent home and they don't need all this love. Their life is perfect, right? And so I think having that, understanding that, there we go, Celestine. Understanding that it can be the opposite, right? You can have young people from a single parent home that are thriving. They just need some, minor adjustments, or just need to be in that safe space so that they know how to operate in the world. And or, just because a young person is coming from a 2-parent home doesn't mean that they don't have some challenges and some struggles. So I think, not understanding that, kids that go through mentoring programs are not all bad. They just need that love. They just need that space. They need that auntie, sister, cousin, type vibe. And I think we provide that for our young people as well.
I think that's a great point, Makunga. I think the one thing that I think we do this well, that affirmation. So you're right. People may make assumptions about where our kids come from and who they are and what their backgrounds are. But the one thing we do, and we do well, is we affirm.
Mm-hmm.
They wake up to affirmation. They go to bed to affirmation. They live and breathe and take in affirmation the entire time that they're with us. And it doesn't matter what their issues are. We may have someone who's a bedwetter. We may have someone who's a cutter. We may have someone who has thoughts of harm, right? The self-harm. But from the time they step foot on the camp to the time that they leave, their cup is filled with affirmation about who they are, who they can become. All of that we pour into them. And I think the wonderful thing about it is it's not just us pouring into them. Yep. They are pouring into each other.
Yeah.
And they then begin to mimic what they see us doing with each other. And then they give it back to us. It's like this full circle thing, right? That we can't really put words to. I will never forget. My most memorable thing is this. And I just saw it come across the screen. So this is like ditto.
Affirmation.
When we walked into camp one year, and I will never forget, there was and this is how we got the too beautiful. Because up until that point, we had been saying too black, too strong, right?
Yeah.
But there was a young sister who was round-faced, beautiful, black chocolate sister. And she had short hair. And I remember we were doing the chant, but she just couldn't. She was just like, I'm not feeling this too black, too strong. And in that moment is when the beautiful came in and it lit up.
Man.
It took root, and that is where it came from. She was the one that actually birthed that out of my spirit, out of my mouth, because it was in that moment that we realized something else. So we're missing this beautiful part, and girls needed that.
Yeah.
Not only she needed that, but everybody in the room needed that, and we needed it.
Ashe. I forgot all about that. Thank you for that. There's so much history here. But it's to the point, again, our kids teach us. So the young lady taught Makunga Shani in a very indirect way that we were missing something. And a lot of what we have added over the years, have been added at the unction of our young people, right? They prompted us in some type of way, whether directly or indirectly, that we were missing something. So we had to add an extra ingredient to our special sauce. So we always affirm we're too black, we too strong, and we are too beautiful. We always affirm our young people. I'm going to do a time check, ladies, because I know I said we'd go from 10 to 11. If you want to leave at 11, feel free to check out. But this is going good. And so we can give it a little extra time. So if you all want to go over, we can. I got a few more talking points. This is going well. If you got to check out, check out. If you want to stick around, stick around. But something that Makunga Shani, or someone was talking, and it made me think, there's so many misconceptions about women coming together. Black women can't be all in one space at the same time. And if I don't know if our audience heard me clearly and heard Makunga Shani clearly, we take 50 to 60 girls into the woods for a period of 8 days every year. That's just the camp part. That's not including, us working with them on a monthly basis on Saturdays, every third Saturday of the month throughout the academic year to kind of reinforce what was taught at camp. But these are real woods, like in Wisconsin or in the rural part of Illinois we've been in over the years. They're hours away from home. They don't get to have their cell phone. We limit our cell phone usage. Sometimes the environment limits it because there's no Wi-Fi service. But we're living in cabins. Sometimes the bathrooms are not near the cabin. So in order for our young people to go to the bathroom, and our women, they have to go outdoors in whatever hour of the night. So there's a lot of challenges that comes with living in the woods. You got the bugs, you got the rain, you got so we've learned a lot of things, but there's so many misconceptions about you can't have all these women in one place at the same time, or y'all can't work together. How do we dispel that? Like, how do we dispel, women not being able to work together? Because we've been doing it for 15 years. So what are some things that we've done and not that we've done it perfectly, because we've definitely had our challenges, but what are some things that we've done over the years to kind of dispel that myth and to make it work for us?
I say we keep doing it. We still here. Our longevity, the fact that a lot of us who are at least on this call have been here since the beginning, and we still are able to affirm one another and speak on why we're here and still keep coming. So it's just the fact that we are still here.
Yeah,
sure. What I'll add to that, one thing that we haven't mentioned today, which I think is a real good basis of what we do, is we come to agreements at the very beginning.
Yeah.
We have an agreement as a group, and then even in our smaller groups with what we call tribes, with the Makungas and the youth there, we come to agreements of how can we be in the same space together and respect each other. Like, what are some of the things we can do so that we can all live together for these 7 days in the woods, without what we're used to, and get along. And I think that, anytime we find ourselves doing something different, we go back to the agreements, and that keeps us centered. So,
amen. Ashe. I love it. Yes, the agreements.
Yes.
I think one of the things that we do is maintaining relationships with each other outside of Simsa.
Ashe. Thank you. That's true. Anybody else?
I think an important thing that we do also is communicate. We communicate with one another, and we communicate honestly, because when we're in camp, a lot of changes need to occur. We got our schedule, our plan, but sometimes it might not always go according to plan. So it's important for us to communicate and, stay up to date about what's going on. Be ready.
Yeah. If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready, right, Makunga Nakia?
Be ready.
I stay Nakia.
Yeah. I think remaining flexible too, to add to Nakia's point, you got to remain flexible because again, we have our little agenda that we set up over the next 7 days and how it's going to go and what time it's going to go by. But it's really about remaining flexible because anything can happen. We could have planned to have an outdoor barbecue and the rain comes. So now we got to shift that, right? So just remaining flexible, I think too. One of our Simpsons, the one who was on the episode 7 last couple weeks ago, Lanita says, you all have been very impactful. Thank you, my dear. You've been just as impactful for us. So we salute you. Thank you. Thank you. So how has COVID-19, I want to shift us now because we've been doing this, but the truth of the matter is the last 2 years have been really tough for us. We have not been able to have our camp and go into the woods. And, our young people are struggling with Zoom. They were struggling with school Zoom and Zoom this and Zoom that. And so that shifted participation, not being able to be in person. How has COVID impacted us? And then what is the state of Simsa today? Like if I want to get a young person involved, how do I do that?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a two-part question. How's COVID impacted us? And then, as a result of that, like what's the state of Simpson now? We all trying to figure that out.
Still.
Yeah, it's definitely had its effect, as it has on all of the world and many organizations, right? So I think our challenge was trying to pivot and trying to still find a way to keep our girls in communication
Mhm,
with each other and with us.
mhm,
And so I think that we made some strides and we were successful in our attempts. I think the issue that we face though is the longevity of that, right? So we're all about zoomed out. Zoomed out. And so I think the children are experiencing the same kind of exhaustion,
mhm.
right? And so
Yep.
maintaining that, we made the pivot, we did it, and continue so, but it is challenging to maintain that over a long extended period of time. So I think that's our challenge, Nay.
Okay.
I think what we face coming back is the world has changed a lot.
Yep.
For our girls, things have changed a lot. So it's now we're going to what is the priority, right? And one of the things that we've all been clear on, and the girls have been clear on, is our mission. We've all bought into
Yep.
this thing and what it is that we do and what SIMSA does and provide. So how do we gather all of them back together again and lead them back into SIMSA land? And that's what I see as the challenge, returning from COVID.
COVID. Yep.
Definitely.
Re-engagement.
Yes.
Ashe.
But I can say that thankfully, because we have at least two things, camp and we have our reunion, that are pretty much standards, things that we all can look forward to. Those who are interested in becoming a part of Simba or Simsa can, like it says, go to the website and for updates and find out, how to sign up for camp. But also kind of look out for reunion because that's happening in February. We are still planning for it, and I've talked to a couple of Simsas, and they are looking forward to in person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to miss something too. I think outside of, the way COVID has impacted us, we are intentional about on some level trying to stay engaged, and we are not afraid to go back to the drawing board. I think after 15 years, over the last 15 years, we've found a way to realize, oh, that didn't work. Let's fix that. Let's tweak that. Let's modify that. And I think this year we're in this space where we're recognizing that not only did COVID impact our kids, because as leaders, if we're not well, if we're not coming with our best selves, then what can we bring to these young women and young men, right? And so I think this year has been about us. And Makunga Nakia, you've taught us this very well. One, we have to be intentional about staying engaged on some level. But outside of that, not only we just showing up on a Zoom just to say we had a monthly session, let's take a pause. Let's take care of the wellness of the women to make sure that we're bringing our best selves for these young women. And if we need to, let's refigure out what that looks like. What does SIMSA look like going forward now when you do have the ability to be able to add technology and Zoom and, especially when you're trying to engage from different chapters in different cities and different states. And so I think just being able to take a moment and step back and redefine what this looks like. I think we're in a year of redefining. This has been our year of just kind of re-engaging, reconnecting. I think that's been the word, reconnecting. And so for us, we're meeting monthly as women to just stay engaged on a womanly level, right? We all got life changes happening, empty nesting, new jobs, new life changes. And so we're just trying to stay engaged so that we can keep our space safe, so we can remain safe in our sisters' arms, and then being able to bring our young people in back, back, so we can redefine what that looks like. And I think something that's important for us that Shamaya has taught us, we train up our own leaders. So we're not just pulling women out of the woodwork. So, we're not just getting young women and young, girls in here and saying, okay, go do this, but they literally go through a training ground. Shamaya's training ground started as a Simsa, but we bring women. Just because somebody raised their hand and say, I want to be a Makunga, well, you don't just get to be a Makunga. You got to go through the training ground. We got to make sure that, you understand what it is that we do, because it is so unique and it ain't for everybody and it ain't for the faint at heart. We got to understand that we're not just letting anybody come in and touch, figuratively, our young women, but that we're bringing in people that have the intention and the values that we hold that we're valuable for us as well. So, anybody else?
What was the question again? I feel like I had something.
I don't know. I forgot. No. I think I was asking about women work, 15 years of women working together, and we have people that say, oh, women can't work together. What have we done to kind of dispel that?
Yeah, so my thought is, and this could be the progressive millennial, but I haven't seen an institution survive without the work of a woman at the foundation.
Ashe.
So whether that's whether that's non-for-profits, whether it's the White House, whether it was Barack, Michelle was in that thing moving. So I think as somebody who's grown up in the program, what Simsa taught me is that women can be leaders, right? And so I think we have to think about it that way, that the girls who come through the program will say, man, I know I can do this because I saw my Makungas do this. Or I know that maybe somebody might have a dream to lead a non-for-profit, and I know I can do it because I saw my Makungas do it. So yeah, I would challenge that all the way around and say, go look at Thanksgiving, and who organizing the Thanksgiving menu? It's your grandma. So okay, Mama's like, you're going to. I said it was a millennial perspective, but it's a very good one if you think about it.
It is.
We'll talk all day.
Of every structure, there's usually a woman. So that would be my message to the girl. There's usually a woman who's pulling the details together, making sure we got things in place. And so I'm thankful for my Makunga showing me that. And there was one more thing that you said about volunteer, but I don't remember. Sorry.
I think I'd add on to ditto. Millennial Makunga Shamaya.
My husband, you better be progressive. No,
she's so out of control. Okay. I would say ditto and add that you just made me lose my thought. That I would say the one thing that makes us work, Makunga Nay, too, is I think we honestly respect and value what each sister brings to the table. So, for example, Celeste has a background in accounting. So obviously somebody who's in that and who has that gift is very detailed, right? So we respect the fact that Celeste, for many years, I don't know if anybody recalls this, was the one who was doing our budget.
Yes, she was.
Keeping us on task with the money, right? And the one who was like, so can we think about this? Did you think about this? The one, her and Angel worked together to organize the things that girls would need, that we were like, oh, they need that? We need to have that in stock. Oh, okay. Right? Makunga Nakia, the Kumba, the creativity. Please don't ask me to organize or art anything. Please don't. I am going to Makunga Nakia. Period. I'm going to Nakia. I'm going to Makunga Lolita. Do you hear me? When I need to know what we need to know to put in place, So if it's a schedule, please go to Nashawn. Please don't come to me.
Right.
Like, so I honestly believe that we respect what each person brings to the table
I
as
say.
they give, and we operate like that.
Yeah.
And nobody, like, I'm not jealous or envious. I'm like, hallelujah.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, what you all don't know, what I didn't share. So Shani and I are co-directors of Simsa. And so I remember our first year, we were like, oh, okay, we're going to take a tribe because it was just like 6 women and 26 girls. And so as Makunga Celestine said, we have our girls in tribes. And we were like, oh, yeah, no, we can take a tribe. We got this. And they were like, no, you can't. And I was like, no, for real. They like, you got to run the camp. We like, we can do it. No, that wasn't the reality, but it's been a blessing to have these different gifts that you see represented on this screen to be able to rely on. So in the everyday world, we call them a committee, right? You got committees that are over the arts and crafts, committees that are over putting bags and t-shirts together, committees that are over ordering snacks and supplies and making sure the girls got snacks and chips and water. And, we can do all of that. And so if it's, I think we respect one another's gifts, to Shani's point, and we're not threatened by it. Lanita, our former Simsa, says that, Simsa was the first time that she learned that women and girls could be kind to one another. She learned that building partnership means you got to use each other's strengths. We can't do it all. We might try to sometimes, whether it's in Simsa or in our everyday lives, but trust and respect. Even many of us are probably supervisor in some administrative role on our job. Use the strengths of your team. God bless these women to be in our midst and in our circle. And so us being able to rely on that, man, it's been an amazing blessing to just be able to rely on the strengths of the women. So thank y'all for sharing your gifts. Any final thoughts about Simsa? So we talked about, if you're interested in Simsa, going to our website, I'll put that back on the screen as well, being able to go to our website for more information. But how do we, what are we doing? It's hard. We don't know if it's going to be camp next year or anything like that. But how do we stay connected with our young women? What is it that we're going to be doing in 2020? Makunga Nakia mentioned we're going to 2022, we're planning to have our reunion. We have a reunion at the end of February every year where not only we come together with our young people, but our boys. So that's kind of the first time the boys and the girls come together. But what are some other things that we can look forward to for Simsa in 2022?
Of course, the monthly workshops to continue and expand. I know you had mentioned that, getting back to redefining ourselves as women. So that's the first and foremost thing that I'm looking forward to working with my sisters on, to redefining ourselves.
Yeah, love it. Anything else? Anybody else?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a major thing, redefining, re-engaging, and really looking to our girls to determine once again what do you guys need? Because there's been so many different changes. So whenever we are able to collectively come together, because we make our efforts to connect in our own cohorts, but when we are able to come together collectively, just pull on their ear to find out what do you need, or just kind of observe and find out what they need. And
I was thinking, sorry, I know there's an exercise going on right now, right? Where it's it's like a bingo kind of thing of getting to know the Simpsons. Right. So can you explain that a little bit more? I don't want to mess it up.
Thank you for bringing that up. So that's just one way that Simpsons are able to kind of re-engage with each other virtually. So if you guys have ever heard of human bingo or regular bingo, there's the cells that have different descriptions. For example, find someone who's traveled out the country. So you'll find a Simsa, contact her and ask her, or just, connect with Simsas and find out how many of them can you write their names in each description box. So they can do that virtually. And there's a prize at the end, or award at the end. I think we said December 15th or something is the deadline. But don't tell them, maybe they'll see. But if they don't, maybe we can continue that during the reunion. But there is a prize where they get a custom, not a hoodie, because somebody mentioned you got to earn this hoodie, baby.
You got to earn them hoodies.
Yeah, but a sweatshirt, you can get a custom made Simsa sweatshirt for the first person who's able to have a full page Simsa bingo. So,
Nice.
yep, y'all contact any of the Makungas have it available, but y'all you can contact Makunga Nakia.
I
So
say.
to that end, yeah, it sounds like though, right? Women are reconnecting, and we're also there's an environment where the Simpsons can reconnect as well
Yeah.
during this change in time.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
I say.
I'm looking forward to, and I don't know if it's going to happen this year or not. Well, in 2022, I am so looking forward. Ditto to what Makunga Angel said. Makunga's reconnecting, but I am so looking forward to our planning process and seeing and hearing, seeing the faces, hearing the laughter, the chanting. I am looking forward to camp.
Yes.
I want to see. I want to see. I want to see a sea of girls again. I want to hear a sea of girls again. And I don't care what, the challenges are going to be the challenges. It is what it is, right? But I want to be in the space and share oxygen with Simpsons again.
I'm going to be a crybaby.
I don't know if y'all saw me. I just kind of hugged myself like one of the little 7 to 8 year olds. One of the Fayomas coming up to me. I just kind of like hugged myself. I just imagine the little bitties coming squeezing us tight. So yeah,
I miss the libations around the tree early in the morning. I remember I miss waking y'all up early in the morning
with the drum.
banging the
I
drum.
look forward to that drum every morning. I really look forward to that drum.
You about the only one too. Maybe Mama Ika, Elder Ika.
Right.
Yeah. So as you all can see out there in Facebook land, we have a lot of fun at camp. There's a lot of laughter, there's a lot of tears, there's a lot of healing, there's a lot of deliverance. There's just a lot of love, and more than anything, it's held within this safe space that we call Safe in My Sister's Arms. And so not only are we being safe in our sister's arms? So we teach our young people how to be safe in another sister's arms, but also how to hold space that's safe for somebody else as well. And so I am just so excited and thankful that we've been blessed over the last 15 years to do what we do. And for all of you all that don't know, again, we have full-time jobs outside of this. So we are definitely a volunteer army. We raise funds every single year. Don't forget, Giving Tuesday is coming up. I think it's December 7th. So if you're interested in supporting our organization and the work that we do, because we are planning to have camp, you can make donations at www.rescuereleaserestore.org. So please support us on Giving Tuesday. Support us any time of the year. It's the end of the year. So get them tax write-offs. But again, we are just, and we just look for donations. We look for volunteers. We look for young people. So if there's a young woman that you want to experience what Shamaya has experienced, what my daughter has experienced, and what any of our children have experienced over the last 15 years, and actually have a love for, our kids aspire to grow up to be leaders in Simsa. Like they like, it's my turn. I'm next. It's my turn. Feel free to reach out to us, contact us, go to the website and reach out to us. We would love to have them. We would love to continue pouring into these young women because they are our future. And so we can't continue to do this forever. We're getting older. Our bodies are getting older and our lives are changing. And so we need our young people to continue carrying this forward to ensure that Simsa remains for another 15 years. So any takeaways before we wrap up? Probably got another 3 minutes. Any other comments in the chat?
I need somebody to replace me in the woods.
What's that? What you say?
I need someone to replace me in the woods
Oh,
at
I
midnight.
ain't ready for that.
I
Y'all
say.
got to promise to be in the woods that next year we have camp. We're gonna have camp, but y'all got to be in them woods.
Yeah. Ashe. Yep. One more year in the woods. Anybody else? Any final takeaways?
Please support
Yes.
and definitely take a serious look and a serious interest in our organization and the transformative work that we do. It is transformative. And I can attest as my own children I invite mothers and aunties and big sisters and community leaders to really consider Simsa and Simba as a place to to plant their children.
Truly.
Ashe.
Can we end it so I can just go throughout my day feeling that with the too black, too strong, too beautiful?
Ashe.
Together.
All right, on the count of 3, ladies. 1, 2, 3. We are
Too black, too strong. Beautiful.
You gotta get
We're all on a different count.
Oh,
too black,
Too strong. We all on a different count. Trust me, people, it works better in the camp setting when you got 50 girls. They can get it right, but 5 of us couldn't. Ladies, I love you. Thanks for being here. Continue to model the way for our young people. And I want to wrap up on this. For those that want to know more about how can you safely hold space for somebody? Here are 5 quick tips on what you can do. 1, when you're talking to somebody, refocus listening, making sure that you're keeping the conversation about them. You should do less talking and more listening, and really just allow the other person a safe space to share without judgment. 2, like many of us, we're leaders, we're problem solvers. Don't jump into problem solving mode. 3, don't center it about you. This ain't about you. This is a space that you're holding for somebody else to get their healing. 4, reassure them that you believe them, you believe in them. And 5, be open to whatever emotions come up for you and for them. Sometimes it'll invoke you to want to, share, especially if you have a similar, situation that you've encountered. It may prompt you to want to share your thoughts on it or how you've dealt with it. Keep it open for them. So at the end of the day, the best way that you can keep a safe space is to just listen, be present, no judgment, and just allow the other person to share and to support them in that sharing, not just in that moment, but even after the fact. Ashe? Ashe. I love you all. Have an amazing Saturday. Thank you all for tuning in. Until next time, happy Thanksgiving. God bless you. Peace.
Hey, thanks.
thank you.